Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Comic Book Syndicate. We're now here at the Central Library, downtown Windsor, Ontario, and we're discussing Superman.
So to celebrate, we are here to review a adaptation of the comic book All-Star Superman, which was published from, I believe, 2005 to about 2006.
Yeah, it was a mini series, I guess.
It was written by Grant Morrison and drawn by Frank Quitely. It was a big hit. It sold really well. It won tons of awards.
Yeah, absolutely.
And now this week, it's finally available as an animated feature. And so we've got help from an old Cinda pal, Dan Upham. How you doing, Dan?
I'm doing great. How are you, Michael?
I'm doing great. Why don't you start us off? I mean, you read the comic, right? Did you read the whole series?
I did.
Okay, now as an adaptation first, did you think it was an accurate adaptation? Or faithful, I guess?
I believe they cut out a lot of parts, but to make the movie to the length of that kids can pay attention to, about an hour and 15 minutes, I believe it was really good. And what I really liked about this book is I believe this is the best Superman story I've ever read, close to Last Sun. And what I really liked about it was the fact that Lex Luthor here is portrayed, like I know how people know about Batman and the Joker and how the Joker just gives his life to killing Batman, but Lex Luthor here, actually, he's the most vicious and savage I've ever seen, to the point where it's like, after he wants to kill Superman and he thinks that he did it, that he just goes, take me away, I don't care, my life's over, I got him, and that's all there is to it. It's everything you need out of Superman. It's like, finally we get to see what we want to see out of Superman. Finally somebody got Superman. Finally he falls in love and he's with Lois Lane. Finally Lex Luthor gets him.
It does warm my heart to hear you say that, because it is probably my favorite Superman story of all time as well. George, did you think it was a good adaptation?
As far as the animation for it was incredible. It unfortunately was too big of a story to put in animation. It suffered a lot. I mean, compared from the comic, because I read the comic, of course I love the movie, but I couldn't hand this movie to anybody and go, watch this is the best animated movie ever, because 3 minutes into it, you'd be like, what? Who? He's got 4 arms? What? Like it gets really complicated really fast, and it's worth 2 or 3 viewings to really understand it and really enjoy it, and it's totally worth it. But as far as an adaptation goes, it's almost as if they plucked the coolest parts out of it and just strung them together with whatever they had. Like, I don't know, then he wanted a sandwich. And
I think the beginning was confusing. Just Superman, lost son.
Well, that's how they begin the book as well.
But it just doesn't translate well.
Yeah, because you don't really know where the story's coming from.
No, and I think you're right. I think this is a comic I can hand to anybody and say, this is where you should start with Superman. And so watching the cartoon, you're like, oh, well, this is accurate. This is a good recreation. But then stepping back and thinking, for someone who's never read the comic, I don't think it'd be a good starting point. You're right. You'd be lost. And I think
No, but the series is that way as well. I disagree. This is not a good starting point for Superman. This is a great, if you're a fan of Superman.
You have to know.
Here's the thing. I totally disagree with you, because I think this is, of any story in the past 30 years, it's the one you can hand to anyone and anyone can read it. And you're right, it does reference a lot of history, but it doesn't require that to understand it or to enjoy it. Whereas
I might have to reread it then, because maybe I found it.
Well, no,
sometimes we disagree in the comic book
I agree with George. Sorry, Mike, but I believe that you need to know what the history of Superman, and you need to know these characters. You need to know. It's just like you don't expect it. Just Lex Luthor does it out of the blue, and it's like, well, it's not this big scheme and this big plan. It's in secrecy, and he does it, and that's it.
Let's put it this way: whether they're good or not, the comic is better. Because to me, the cartoon is good, but it really, I think the art was really good. It was a very good recreation of Frank Quitely's anatomy. It does lose some of the texture, right? Some of it's sort of, almost his Robert Crumb-like texture. But the story, while it's good, it lacks the magic. And I think part of it is what they chose to include and what they choose to cut out. And also, some of the voices I thought were sort of flat. Some of the delivery was really flat. And it was kind of lifeless.
Did you have a favorite part?
The fact that they recreated exactly the shot of them kissing on the moon with the Earth in the background, this is just beautiful, just flawless.
How about you? What's your favorite?
Oh, no, when Luthor's on the treadmill. When he's got those 60-pound weights and he's just booking on the treadmill, complaining about Superman, and
this is
he's like, because that's another thing, right? I dig Luthor in this. Like, I'm almost rooting for him.
He's
almost
very
the entire
charismatic,
time. I'm like, I like him. I'll go work at LexCorp.
For sure.
What about you? Real quick.
I like the prison riot, and I like to see those guards get what is coming to them. But I really like the fact that it's realistic in the sense that Parasite, through the door, it's not lead. He can gain the power, but I'd say overall my most favorite part of the whole movie, and it goes throughout the movie and in the story in the book, is that Lex Luthor still can't figure out that Clark Kent is Superman. And even when Clark Kent
that's
tells
pretty cool.
Lois Lane that he's Superman, she doesn't believe it, because nobody can believe it, because, you know, Superman's strong and smart and intelligent, and through this movie, I believe that his smarts were really like
One of the best Clark Kents in comics.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
he builds suns and stuff, this Superman, and and he's just so smart, but then all of a sudden, like, when he's Clark Kent, he's tripping over papers, and then even Lex Luthor goes to say to Clark Kent, hey, I like you. I always liked you, but I hate Superman, but literally, you know, he's the same person.
Okay, we'd like to thank our audience out here for coming out who've already bored and started reading other things. But just kidding. Okay, so this is another special segment of the Comic Book Syndicate. We're sitting here with two of our fans, and we were going to call this the Syndi-Kids, but I think you guys are too old to be called kids, right? How old are you?
I'm 13, and I'm 15, turning 16 in May.
Okay, and what are your names?
I'm Jessica, and I'm Victoria.
And you guys are sisters?
Yes.
Okay, and have you guys seen the Comic Book Syndicate before?
Yes.
Where did you guys see it?
Well, the first time I saw comic books is when you gave me that DVD a year ago with the,
Okay.
and it had the Cowman, and which is also one of my favorite comic books. So yeah, that's the first time I saw it.
And what about you?
YouTube.
YouTube, really? I didn't know we were on YouTube.
YouTube.
Wow. That's great. So you guys were you guys comic book fans before you saw the show?
Yes.
Okay, and why don't you tell me what your favorite comic book is?
My favorite comic book is Kid Flash, The Kingdom, the first one, because I think she's just trying to be who she is, and her dad's not listening to her. So I think that is really, really cool.
George, do you have any questions?
Well, I would like to know your favorite comic.
Well, I have a lot of favorite comics, but one of my very favorites is V for Vendetta, which is set in it's set in a lot of times. Like the movie that came out for it, which is also an awesome addition, was set in the future, like in 2015. But this one is set in usually the 1980s kind of thing.
Do you think that the movie was similar enough to the book?
When I first watched the movie and then I watched the graphic novel, but I think there were a lot of similarities, but there were also a lot of stuff taken out. But sometimes it is necessary to take stuff out if they're not needed, but it's also sometimes kind of sucky. But most of the time it's okay. And I thought there's no difference, and I like both of them equally.
How did you go see it? Did you go see it at the theater?
No, my dad had it on DVD,
Oh,
and
okay.
we watched it together, and I really enjoyed it. I was wondering, this is a graphic novel. I want to see what it's like. So I read it, and I was like, this is really good. So I liked it.
If only everyone thought the way you did, that if they saw a comic book movie, they would want to read the comic book that it comes
Yeah,
from, right? That's what
absolutely.
we're hoping, that everyone's going to want to read comic books. So I'm glad that you guys like them.
Comic books are good because if you really don't like reading big novel books because of all the words, comic books help out because of all the pictures that are in it, and they're for all ages. Comic Book Syndicate, assemble!
Thank you, girls. Thank you. And look at that. Just because we how about that? It's called the